11 federations, submitted their petitions already, part of which we have one of the great persons in volleyball, ex-international. His name is famous, but he's world famous. He's been contributing a whole lot when it comes to South region in Nigeria to the growth of volleyball in the country. Join me as I introduce to you famous, from Bielsa. Your surname now becomes very hard for us to go, but I know you can help us with that.
Well, I think my name is famous Daunemigha.
Daunemigha, okay.
Yeah, fine, the G is silent.
The G is silent.
And also, let me just correct one impression. I was not I wasn't ex-international. I didn't play the game at the professional level.
Okay.
But it's a game that we all played when we were in the schools. It's a game I started loving.
And gradually, all the volleyball players knows you very well. Right?
Yeah, because of the little contribution that I've added. It's like we are building. So it's what we have had it, making them to appreciate us.
So tell us about your profile as to volleyball in the country.
I'm from Abuja State. I've been the chairman of volleyball. I've been in other sports as well before.
Okay.
I think that I'm proud to say that we are the first set of people who played the exhibition in Scrabble. I'm a good Scrabble as well. And before I came to volleyball. And also as well, I tried to also be involved in tennis as well. I belong to tennis clubs as well. For sporting purposes as well. But volleyball was something that I was made to love by one young man. He's retired though from the civil service. One Peter Refe. He was one of the coaches of Bielsa State volleyball, and they met me. And they asked me to come and be the chairman of the association. I love the game, it's a beautiful game, so that's how I came to volleyball. And since then, I think it's like my new family. So that's the way I look at it. So volleyball is something that I've come to love. I invest a lot of my adding money into it. I had a team that at the time represented the country in Tunis as well. So it's a sport that one has come to appreciate.
Okay, now tell us, one wants to know what actually from the mind, your mind. Okay, before we talk about that, I know you've been watching volleyball, you've been monitoring volleyball, from your end. How will you appraise volleyball since let's say a decade now in the country?
First and foremost, I think I want to appreciate the Minister of Sports for having the bold mind, for the first time to bring members on board through a proper democratic process. Before, the directors of sports from the various states will just nominate one individual and you come on board. So it didn't give room for those who have invested in these sports to come on board. So I want to thank them, and it's a starting process. I know a lot of hiccups over there, but I know as they progress, the next election to be finer than this one, definitely. And as a person, I would say that if you look at the 80s, after football was volleyball.
Back in the days?
Yes, back in the days. And if you look at it now, after football is basketball now. It means that volleyball has nosedived. So they've missed it somewhere along the line. And the nosediving of volleyball is attributed to lack of very serious members to the board. If you look at the leadership of volleyball over these years, you can see that it's made up of a lot of members who are not, when you have a president of a body, you need other ends to ensure that he succeeds.
Yeah.
So if you're not complimenting the president
as members,
yes, members, the president cannot succeed. So over the years, look at the zone, from all the zones, the 6 zones, volleyball activities died.
Naturally.
Yes, because one, those who were elected to the board, they didn't really grow the sports in the zones that they were elected. So that is the fundamentals. Now, if you look at it, the little involvement, the time I got involved in volleyball in the South, volleyball was like a household name.
More or less like football.
Yeah, because I had to bring in my team, had players, I had to get players from Cameroon. I brought. It was a professional sport for me. I feel, because I've traveled around to see the game played. It's a beautiful game. For me, I look at volleyball as a game that people can retire after the day's work and sit in a hall with a popcorn and whatever, with your snack, and watch the game. That's the way I look at it. Is people should play volleyball and become wealthy as well. Now, what is lacking? There is no incentive in volleyball.
Okay.
Because nobody is playing the sports to be rich. Nobody.
So where is up?
So it's a part-time. Maybe we have a sports festival, people are playing it. There is no league.
For it?
There's no league. So what you have is random tournaments. Maybe once in a year, you can have 2-3 tournaments. And what are they winning? A team will travel, spend over 1 million to 2 million, and you go and win 150,000 or 200,000. That is not the essence of sport. Sport is also for entertainment as well as also wealth creation as well.
Now, if you look at volleyball in the country, I know we've got ex-internationals who have actually played the game, to the highest level. Even when you were in school, we do not know the reason most of them find it difficult to also contribute. But then in your case, it seems sports, not just volleyball now. Sports is in your DNA. You love sports. You love to bring the youths together, just to take them away from the social vices in the society. Now, tell us. The elections, the June 13th elections that was held in Abuja, what went down? As to your own, your own ticket.
I think that mine was we had a tie. We had six states that made up our own zone, South. We had a tie. And we had a tie for it was historical. The election was historical for me in the sense that we had a tie for 5 times. And ordinarily, we ought not to have gotten a president of volleyball. But I showed that I had love for the game than my personal ambition. I was vying for, if I had come sail through, I was intending to vie for the position of president as well. But I look at the overall interest of the game. So I told them, please just give us one more, one was 4 ties. Give us one more chance to try. If we don't, let the president's election come, because my personal interest to become a president of volleyball should override the overall interest of the volleyball family. So what I did was, let us give a final push, and it was a tie again. So we had to allow the election, for Christ's sake, to go. Because for me, it's service is not only when you are at the end. Service you can serve from various. So I'm very sure that if God willing, I'm elected in, South will be known for volleyball activity.
So there's a lot of
there's no time that we will not have a minimum of all the 6 states. All the 6 states should have minimum of 1 tournament in that year.
That is if you are to be the president.
No. If I'm even a board member,
so
because if I'm a board member, I see myself as the leadership of volleyball in my zone, and it's my duty to grow that game in that zone. Now, it takes a lot. We are business. I'm a private businessman. So, look at what we invested. Like in tennis in Abuja here. I've assisted tennis in my own little. I've sponsored a lot of young men. No, tennis. When you say tennis, it's long tennis. They call it. It's not called long tennis anymore because they have 3 surfaces and I assisted young men who want to travel out to like South Africa or tournaments. I've funded their tickets and all the rest because it's sports. So I'm not tying myself alone to one sport. If I can also invest in those kind of other games, why not in volleyball that are? And we have a lot of people. We have a lot of coaches that are not well certified, not well upgraded. Like I intend within my 4 years, if I'm on board, ensure that I can compete. A lot of coaching courses to be attended by my South people, so that they can also measure up. If you come to the national camp for a coaching, it's not somebody that will be picked because you are close to one board member. No, it should be by merit and your knowledge about the game. So I'm bringing a lot to volleyball, and I think that I intend to assist the president to grow the sport to the next level. As very much aware, I would like to inform that even before I came on board, I already secured that Okrika will be having, Okrika in River State will be having a beach every December, a beach volleyball tournament, you know, and that's going for a prize money nothing less than 1.5 to 2 million naira first prize. That's really the history, and it's also on record that the tournament that I hosted was the highest tournament that I received over 500,000, about 500,000, and everybody. No, that's tournament and other tournaments that came in, maybe 1 or 2 tournaments that came after them. So it's a precedent I've set. There's love for me to invest in the sports, and that is what is key.
Now, I've been in the studio with world famous Daunemigha from Bayelsa State. Of course, he's been contributing a lot to sport development. But there will also be room for the viewers to ask him questions as to how we can also join and to move not just volleyball and private sports forward, but his own area where he focuses on is volleyball. How do we also bring back volleyball, the glory days of volleyball to the minds of people in the country? But let's take it to volleyball. Highlight how volleyball is being played abroad. Look at some of the techniques of these players. When we come back, you also have room for you to talk to him on the show.
Before we get into the mechanics of spiking a volleyball, we have to cover a few topics. First off, when does a spike occur? Well, the ideal setup for a spike begins with a pass to the setter, who usually stands on the top right corner of the court, which is also known as position 2. The setter